Last week, I interviewed Lynn from Life Root Farm. Many of you know I have a love of gardening, and when I found out that one of my good friends, Connie from the Painted Photographer, her daughter runs an organic heirloom seed and produce farm in Stanley, Wisconsin, I definitely wanted to have her on my podcast. So, a fellow Wisconsinite and a lover of all things gardening as well. Now, that is one that you guys want to go take a listen to. In this week's episode, let's talk about overwhelm, which you can experience in both your personal and business life. And this can be a huge obstacle in our small businesses. Are you experiencing the feeling of being overwhelmed? Then stick around and I'm going to walk you through some of the ways that I've reduced that overwhelm in my own small business.
Welcome to the Rescued and Upcycled podcast with weekly inspiration, tips on trying new techniques, and overall real talk about owning your own DIY business. Now here's your host, Sonnet Ullenbrock.
Welcome back to Rescued and Upcycled. I'm your host, Sonnet Ullenbrock. I want to thank you all for joining me today on my podcast. If you guys are new here, welcome. And what I love to do is interview creatives and small business owners, and then just talking about all things small business. This year, I've also started to incorporate some home decor topics to the podcast. So you'll be seeing those sprinkled out throughout the year. And I'm hoping that I have been inspiring you along with my guest host. Now, today's episode, I'm going to be talking about feeling overwhelmed in our businesses. As a small business owner, we do all the things, wear all the hats, and most of us are what we call solopreneurs. So we rely solely on us to do everything ourselves. We have to pack and ship. We have to check those emails to make sure we're answering all of our customer service issues. We post on all of our social media platforms. We're responsible to tape and edit our videos, price our products, stock our shelves, and the list, you guys, goes on and on. And do you just feel the stress of those long to-do lists that you can never seem to catch up on? Yes, that is how I used to feel. I can definitely say that it affected my small business, and this affects all small businesses in so many different ways. So if you do feel overwhelmed and behind, in your small business, this can also happen in your personal life as well. It affects your personal life because on both sides. So flip the coin. If you're stressed about your business, it affects your personal life. You have a shorter fuse and you may overreact, to different things that may seem so minute, and that can affect your relationships in your personal life. And on the flip side, if you're struggling with your personal life and you're having issues dealing with things in your own personal life, that can just hamper your business as well. Your creativity can go down. It just can affect so many areas of your small business. So eliminating that overwhelm can help you in so many different aspects. So many of us operate our small businesses in a constant state of overwhelm, which can, truly affect our business growth. Just too much to do and not enough time. So if you are feeling overwhelmed at this time, remember, other small business owners are feeling the exact same way. And like I said, I used to feel this way, a constant state of never being able to catch up, always feeling like my to-do list was carrying over to the next day. And I have done quite a few things, and it has definitely helped me get out of the state of overwhelm. Are there still days? I will be totally honest with you. There are still days that things happen and I do feel very overwhelmed, and that does trickle over to my family life. But overall, I have really taken control of my small business and I have been feeling so much better. So, I want to talk to you about things that I've changed, and I'm hoping that you can implement some of these changes yourself as well. So, the first thing that was so crucial was time management. And think about it. Think about how much time you waste in a day. So how I used so I guess when once I should take a step back and say, once I started doing this full time, I truly acted like this was my, well, it was my business, but I tried to act like I was at a 9 to 5 job, you guys. So I set times, like I woke up at a certain time in the morning, and that was when I started my work day. So think about some things that you may do on a daily basis that could, hurt your time management skills. Do you mindlessly scroll through social media? Do you, grab your phone and all of a sudden, uh, a Facebook notification pops up or a TikTok notification and you click on it. And next thing you do is you just start scrolling through your feed or you start swiping up with your TikToks. Keep that in, that is a time management sucker. It takes, you don't even realize how much time you're on there. So, do you do that? Um, have do you have like so many things on your to-do list, but you just keep dragging your feet and you start finishing other tasks that are just not a priority, like go and clean your car, or you go and decide to clean up your bathroom, or just things that do not pertain to what is really on that needs to be done, or like the next task. I why do we, do this to ourselves? Like, I find that I would like dread doing some task. I don't know why. I'm like, okay, I have to do this. Oh gosh, I don't want to do this, but I have to. And then next thing you know, like I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna quick look here. I'm just gonna go on social media really quick. And like an hour later, all of a sudden I'm like, I could have had that task done. So now I do things a little different. So I'm going to talk to you about that because you guys, we will never have enough hours in the day to get everything done. No matter how hard I try, I honestly will never have a day where I say, wow, I have literally gotten everything off my to do list for the entire week. Never a day in my life have I said that. But I've made a few changes, which has helped me manage my time and accomplish as much as I possibly can. And I've eliminated a lot of that overwhelm. So when you are, you have to think like, when are you most creative or task orientated? So some people work really well in the evening, they're night owls, and that is their time to just soar. Not me at all. I work really well in the morning. Right away when I wake up, I like to really hit the ground running and finish some of my big task items, right away in the day. So, what I like to do is I like to schedule those big tasks, the same day and time every week. So, for instance, an example like would be this podcast. Okay. So, on Tuesdays is my podcast day. And I wake up right away in the morning. I grab a cup of coffee and I write my outline for the podcast. And then I get ready and I tape my podcast. What I've been doing now is I try to do 2 podcasts per day. And why I'm doing this is to get ahead. And it made more sense versus me being like, reactive each week and like just doing on Tuesday, tape my podcast, then I have to go in and get it all edited and then post it by Thursday. I now have every week I post 2 podcasts, and it does a couple things, you guys. It helps me get ahead, and that way if something were to happen, like life happens all the time, you guys. And what if I would get sick? What if something else, came up and I was not able to tape on that Tuesday? at least I'm several weeks ahead that I have that as a backup. And I'm trying to do that in all areas of my business. And I'll be totally honest, by doing this, it is like taken so much off my shoulders. I feel like a lot less overwhelmed just by being ahead. That way, if I am just not feeling it for whatever reason that week, I do have a backup plan. Okay. So I would highly suggest A, picking dates and times that you're most productive and setting out like your big items that you need to accomplish each week during that period of time. So that's Tuesdays. Thursdays are my days to go ahead and tape and edit my YouTube videos. And so what I'm doing as well on Thursdays are I am now taping several videos at one time. Do I get them all edited on that same day? Absolutely not, but at least I have the video footage taped and I can then edit over a period of time. But then Fridays, I see what I used to do is I would post my videos Fridays, but now I post them on Mondays. So it gives me some time to then edit those videos. So it just allows more wiggle room and it puts it on my calendar as to those specific days that I need to have those done. The other thing I do is I post all my social media. I sit down and I come up with a calendar, a content calendar for the week and what I want to post on my social media platforms. And then I pre schedule. And just by pre scheduling, you guys, it again takes the load off of, oh my gosh, I got to post right now. What do I want to post? I don't know. And now I'm like, I am trying to tape my podcast, but I got to post. And this whole state of overwhelm is occurring. And by pre scheduling, it just automatically happens. And I like to do that either Sunday evenings when I'm winding down from the weekend or early Monday mornings. And I do this, and like I said, right away when you're fresh and you look at your week, then you schedule it all out. And this is really what I like to call time blocking, you guys. Blocking certain tasks and working on these scheduled items ahead of time. So each day of the week, what I like to, I always create my to-do list and I like to prioritize these tasks. Like, are they like absolutely must have big tasks that need to be done? Podcast, yes. Videos, social media. So those are all my big items and I highlight those. And then I look at my medium tasked items. Like, what do I need to accomplish in a day? And then the those medium tasked items I work on after I have all my big tasks done. And then there are always those last, tasks that need to be done but are not essential. And then I follow up on those. And those are the things that I tend to carry over from day to day if I don't accomplish those. By creating my to-do list, though, you guys, I just make sure that I have, those most important items highlighted and I try to get those done. When you don't have those big tasks, you don't feel as overwhelmed. Um, and when I sit down and start working on the tasks, I then, I really want to remove any distractions. Okay. This is also so key. Turn off your email notifications. Don't be distracted by text messages. Silence your phone. Actually, better yet, take your phone and put it in an entirely different room. Because honestly, if it's sitting on your desk and even though you have it silent, if it vibrates or the light turns on because you received a text, some type of message, it will distract you and you will be not as focused on your task at hand. So, if I can't focus on this task, it's going to take me 2 hours, 3 hours. And next thing you know, it's going to take me all day to do one single task. Or, I may not even get it done. We have to stop multitasking and stay focused. We were never intended to be multitaskers in I think when I first started my business, I'm like, I am the best multitasker. I get so much accomplished. And truly, I was doing so much multitasking that I was not accomplishing as much as I actually thought I was. So by, really strapping yourself down and just staying focused and getting rid of the distractions, you're going to be much more able to be in control of your time management. So that one is number one, you guys. We have to stop multitasking, we have to stay focused, and we have to really analyze our time management skills. Think about all the time we waste on all the other things that are not pertaining to our business. You eliminate that, and that will take away so much of your overwhelm. The next thing, setting goals. And I do this every year, you guys. I set goals. Yeah, I sit down at the beginning of the year and I set my goals throughout the year, and then I set timelines. And sometimes, you guys, you think you can accomplish way more than you can realistically do. So don't put too much on your plate or on your timeline, because that in itself will add so much overwhelm. If you have too many like items that you want to accomplish in a year, it will definitely happen. So the other thing too is keep yourself accountable. Do quarterly check-ins. So every quarter, take a look at, what you had scheduled for goals and what your timelines were, where you wanted to be for these goals, and give yourself some grace, but check in and make sure that you're holding yourself accountable. But just do not add too many big items to your business. And I'm going to give you an example. And I've talked about this on other podcasts, like since this all happened last year. But last year was a huge year of growth for my small business. I did way too many big things though in one year, and I caused myself so much overwhelm and so much stress. And I put so much pressure on myself because I added too many things in one year. So, the first thing I did is I launched my podcast, and then I launched my subscription box. And lastly, I added my first creative retreat. These are far too many big items to add in one year. And the reason I say this is think about like a podcast. I had to learn the ins and outs of a podcast. I had to come up with a routine. I had to figure out how to use all the equipment, how to edit the videos, how to create the schedule. It literally took me till recently to actually get into a rhythm of it. And now this is episode, I think, 53. And so it took me 53 episodes to finally feel somewhat like in control, and it's kind of secondhand, because I was still learning the ins and outs. And that is when you add something big like that to your business, you are learning the ins and outs of it. My subscription box, that was such a huge undertaking. Just coming up with the whole idea of it. And even to this day, like I'm like, oh my gosh, I order my boxes? Oh my gosh, are the papers folded? Or like, or where is the paint? Like I have had some issues recently because of the weather here in Wisconsin that I was not anticipating, because this is my first winter doing the subscription box. So next year, I now know I have to pre-order a ton of paint before it gets below zero here in Wisconsin, because they will not ship me the paint. So these are just some things to like, I have to think about and be proactive about. So, and then the last thing I do have to tell you guys, my creative retreat. That was by far, I think, what put me over the edge. In one of my podcasts, I talked about feeling burned out after that. And I truly did, because I thought I could do all the things and I didn't ask for help. And by the time I did ask for help, it was far too late. So I was already so overwhelmed. I just was like kind of just doing the motions. And now this year, though, I feel so much more prepared for the retreat and I am so stinking excited for it. So, um, this year, I'm kind of leveling off. I am going to continue to try to grow as a small business owner, but I just need to have a year of regroup. So these are things that you don't want to add too much to your plate, is what I'm trying to say, and create unnecessary overwhelm because you're trying to learn all the new things. So with that said, hiring, you guys, is number three. There is a huge difference between a solopreneur and an entrepreneur, okay? There just comes to a point when you need to hire someone if you want to continue to grow, and you can only do so much. You can only split yourself so many times. So, a solopreneur really says it all. You're solo, you're doing this all on your own, you have no help. An entrepreneur has a bit of help, you guys, because they know that they're going to need assistance to continue to grow, to do the things that you don't like, you should not be focusing on, because like, for prime example for me, my subscription box, folding papers, packing papers. That is not something I should be wasting my time on. I did it in the beginning. I understand the process and how it's done. I can teach somebody to do that. And you know, I can honestly say I am at the point where I need to hire somebody. I actually had somebody for a short period of time. I've actually had a couple people for two different short periods of time, and I am on the lookout for somebody again. I do have summer help, so I'm super excited for that. But when I first decided I wanted to hire someone, I was so afraid of hiring somebody because I did not think anybody could do it as good as me. It's folding a piece of paper, Sonnet. I had to realize it was folding a piece of paper. It was folding a piece of paper in half, in half, and in half, and putting it in a little plastic sleeve, zipping it shut, and adding a sticker. That is something somebody else can do. Um, Pouring paint. I mean, there are things that other people can do, and it can be done just like me. And after having that help for a short period of time, I realized that. So, if I know that many of you are probably saying, I know exactly what you're saying. Number two was, I can't afford it. I'm not even paying myself. So, there is a point though that you're going to have to say, like, maybe just a couple hours a week, maybe just to take a bit of something off of your plate. So consider that as well. The other thing too, maybe you can't hire somebody to physically come to your home or to your business, but what about taking like outsourcing something? I have now outsourced my podcast editing. I go ahead, I tape all of this, and then somebody else edits my podcast for me. I have taken that completely off of my plate. And you guys, I feel so much better. I honestly, I'm just saying, like, how do I feel? I feel amazing, okay? It's one less task that I have to do. She knows exactly how I want it. We talk about it. I watch the podcast. They're exactly how I want it. And so it is seriously, that has been a lifesaver in itself. So, is there something you can outsource? Maybe adding products to your website, or maybe a social media person that will post so often for you, or you give them the post and have them post it all for you. So these are some tasks that you could outsource. The other thing is, if you truly cannot afford, ask your family for help. If you can't afford somebody and you need help, ask your family, your friends, have them help and support you. I mean, like, get caught up. If you're so far behind, it's okay to say, I need help. And sometimes your family has honestly no idea what help you need or what support you need. And it could be as simple as, hey, Caitlin, that's my daughter's name, just so you know, pick up after yourself, do the dishes, do some laundry, help me with the housework. That in itself, or just pick up after yourself. Just tell them what you need. My husband, you guys, he is a godsend. He keeps me fed. I almost said fed and watered, but he keeps me fed. He takes such good care of me in so many other areas. Like, it helps me with so many different things. If I didn't have that, I probably wouldn't even eat. I mean, well, I probably would, but I would probably be living on like eggs, just easy stuff, like easy peasy stuff. He feeds me such good meals and just helps, is so supportive. And not everyone has that. Not everybody has the love and support from their families. So if they won't help clean, maybe get a housekeeper. Taking that off of your plate, or do like pick up for your groceries rather than going to the store. Go online. Try to like streamline some of these processes, okay? And it's easier said than done because again, a housekeeper does cost money, but it might be worth it in the end for your sanity. So, the last thing though, you guys, is self care. Do you feel guilty if you just want to lay in bed longer than you normally would? Or just sit on the couch and binge watch a series of on Netflix? Yeah, I will raise my hand. I sometimes feel guilty that I am doing this, but you know what? Sometimes your mind needs to just reset and refresh. And do not feel guilty. I am giving you permission to step away from your business, do a complete reset, take the time for yourself. So if you want to binge watch, whatever series on Netflix, do it, because that is actually self care. So a couple other things too to think about is like put some dates on a calendar. Like do a girls' dinner with your friends. Do not feel guilty about walking away or do a lunch. Take a mark it on your calendar. Today at noon, I am going to meet my friends and we're going to do lunch. Do it. You do not have to be doing your business 24/7. And yes, would you love to accomplish as many tasks as you possibly can? If you are doing better at time management, you will have time to do some self-care. Have a date night with your hubby. Do a weekend trip with your family. Go away. Just step away. You do not have to work every single weekend, guys. You can enjoy that time. And honestly, if you get better at setting your goals and be better at time management, and ask for some help, you can do all the things. You are going to be a better business person if you are taking better care of yourself. And you are going to be a better person if you're taking better care of yourself. So, keep that all in mind because I think so often, like I just know at the beginning when I was grinding big time, you guys. I was working from the moment I woke up to almost the moment I went to bed. I was working weekends. I was squeezing in every minute. And honestly, since I started doing the time blocking, the time management, I can now honestly say that I can walk away on the weekends and I can feel good about it. And I still check my emails and stuff? Yes, absolutely. But I can honestly say that I am not working 24/7 any longer. And with that, I would highly recommend if you're going to start being inspired by today's podcast, start with time management, you guys, because I know that we can all clean up our act there. So I hope I have inspired you to tackle one area. And as you're tackling that area, give yourself some love and some self-care on top of it. Okay. So I hope you've enjoyed today's podcast and have learned a little bit. But honestly, since I have made these improvements in my business, it has helped me tremendously, not only on my business side, but on my personal side of life as well. So, with that said, in next week's episode, you guys, I'll be interviewing Lisa from Sweet and Sassy Treasures. And you guys may know Lisa from her lives and her workshops that she hosts, where she showcases her creativity with some absolutely amazing projects. So, mark that one on your calendar. It was such a great interview, and I absolutely love Lisa, and I know you guys will too. So, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell notification so you don't miss out on a podcast, and let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you're listening on any of the podcast platforms, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so you guys don't miss out on an episode either. And I am on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at Sonnets Garden Blooms, where I post a lot more content over there.